In Peru, the situation has become particularly serious after the executive headed by Dina Boluarte and the Congress reached an agreement to decree a curfew. During a meeting in Sao Paulo, Brazilian President-elect Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva spoke in favor of homeless people and committed to dignify their lives. And on Tuesday, Ghana signed a $3 billion financial rescue deal with the IMF, International Monetary Fund, in the hope this will help the country get over the very difficult economic situation it is currently in. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada. And now we begin with the news. In Peru, the situation has become particularly serious after the executive headed by Dina Boluarte and the Congress reached an agreement to decree a curfew. The allowance granted to the security forces has already left 18 dead, 9 of them in the last few hours, and 52 wounded in Ayacucho alone. Human rights organizations and even the United Nations mission in the country have expressed concern about the disproportionate increase in repression in the context of the curfew. Human rights defenders in Lima have also denounced, in addition to the violence, arbitrary detentions by police forces.
We're here complaining about what we're going through at this moment regarding our government that has been thrown out of office for no reason. The Congress is really acting improperly. Similarly, the person who is in charge is the one who owes a lot of money. That is why they are looking for problems. Problems they mean to solve by ousting the person who should be there. We are really outraged, and we have to fight to the end to replace our candidate, who is Castillo. He is the person who should be currently representing Peru.
Our markets are closed, our children are abandoned, our people in Peru are dying in the struggle. The police are not on our side. On the contrary, they are our enemies because we defend a good cause. We want to fight against the chaos in our country due to the corrupt authorities and congressmen. That is why we fight day by day, and in all of Peru we are waiting for support from other countries.
At the same time, Supreme Judge Juan Carlos Checkley sentenced former Peruvian President Pedro Castillo to 18 months in preventive detention, charging him with rebellion. The judge argued that the sentence was applied after finding all the elements of conviction in order to proceed to an eventual subsequent conviction of more than 4 years in prison and procedural danger. Likewise, Checkley also ordered the summons with restrictions and rules of conduct for the ex-premier Aníbal Torres, who is under inquiry for the same case. Brazilian President-elect Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva pledges to improve the life quality of homeless citizens. The President of Brazil made a statement during a meeting with the National Movement of Recyclable Material Collectors in the city of Sao Paulo. The next head of state of Brazil affirmed that in the past years the people affected by extreme poverty have been disrespected. He also added that he will order his ministers to go out to the streets to directly attend to the needs of the homeless citizens, and confirmed that he will concentrate his efforts to give a dignified life to this sector of the population.
My commitment is that we give a decent life to the homeless people who live abandoned as if they were animals in the viaducts of Sao Paulo. under the bridges. Now they are putting stones, placing obstacles, even placing iron objects, so that there is no space for you to sleep. It's not that they don't care. They don't even want you to have a right to sleep under a bridge. There is no humanist sense, no sense of passion, love, understanding for how you live in this country.
Colombia's President Gustavo Petro confirmed on Thursday a 16% minimum wage increase by 2023. The new minimum wage will total 1,160 Colombian pesos, plus a transportation allowance equivalent to $272. The decision was announced after a meeting between the Colombian head of state with representatives of business persons, unions, and Minister of Labor Gloria Inés Ramírez. Petro affirmed that with this increase, a recovery is expected, and it will also increase the internal demands in favor of the most vulnerable sectors in order to deal food insecurity in the nation.
This statement for the press has to do with the fact that businessmen and workers have reached an agreement, and obviously the national government supports it regarding Colombia's minimum wage. The minimum wage will increase by 16%, amounting 1,160,000 pesos. The transportation subsidy will increase by 20%, resulting in 140,000 pesos, for a total of 1,300,000 pesos.
The U.S. House of Representatives passed a bill on Thursday that will allow Puerto Rico to hold the first ever binding referendum on its political status. The bill, which passed 233 to 191 with some Republican support, will offer voters three options: statehood, independence, or independence with free association. After passing the Democrat-controlled House, the bill now goes to a split Senate, where some specialists consider it stands little chance of passing. 7 non-binding referendums on the island's political status have already been conducted in Puerto Rico, with no overwhelming majority emerging. The last one was held in November 2020, with 53% of votes for a statehood and 47% against, with only a little more than half of registered voters participating. Let's take a short break. But first, remember you can follow us on our TikTok account at TeleSUR English, in which you will be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. The governments of Greece, Spain, and Italy have each reported losing at least 1 billion euros in revenue due to a sharp reduction of Russian tourists. The statement was made by the Vice President of Russia's Tourism Industry Association, Yuri Barzikin. Barzikin said that about 30% of Russian tourists decided for other destinations abroad, while 20% choose to visit domestic regions. In September, the then head of the Russian Federal Tourism Agency, Zarina Duzgova, said that the flow of tourists from Russia to Europe will be 15 times lower by the end of 2022 than what it had been in 2019 before the COVID-19 pandemic. And 4 migrants died after a boat got into difficulties and capsized in the English Channel. Authorities confirmed the information after a major search and rescue operations was launched early on Thursday. The United Kingdom South East Coast Ambulance Service sent resources to Dover, England, after receiving a call regarding the incident. British Home Secretary Suella Braverman declined to comment on the number of people in the boat and the number of rescued in the joint UK-France operation, which involved resources from the UK's Royal National Lifeboat Institution, the British Royal Navy, Border Force, the French Navy, and Kent Police. The European Parliament announced that it is investigating the agreements with Qatar in the wake of the corruption scandal affecting the organization. The President of the European Parliament, Roberta Metsola, assured that any kind of pressure or undue influence exerted will be investigated. Metsola promised to carry out radical reforms in the coming months to put an end to corruption and influence peddling in the Parliament. So far, the Belgian prosecutor's office has charged 4 members with corruption, involvement in a criminal gang, money laundering, and attempting to buy political favors in the European legislative body. At the same time, Metsola said she will promote a reform of the control mechanisms of the organization.
As of today, I am putting together a comprehensive reform package that will be ready in the new year. It would include strengthening the European Parliament's whistleblower protection systems, a ban on all unofficial friendship groups, a review of the monitoring of our Code of Conduct rules, and a complete and in-depth review of how we interact with third countries.
European Union leaders have gathered on Thursday in Brussels for their year-end summit, overshadowed by political distractions in Europe ranging from the conflict in Ukraine to a bribery scandal. The meeting takes place amid increasing challenges for the 27-nation bloc. The European Union seeks to expand trade and investment with much of the world, especially emerging economies. This year, the conflict in Ukraine has added up against the European economy and has put the bloc at risk of recession. The disruption of Russian energy supplies has affected financial markets and triggered inflation, pushing up the cost of goods from groceries to heating. In addition to seeking new sources of energy from abroad, the EU intends to devote additional funds to help European companies cope with high fuel prices. Now we move on to other topics. China's National Health Commission rolled out the second COVID-19 vaccine booster shots for high-risk groups and elderly people over 60 years old. The Commission also said that the time gap between the first and second booster shots will be 6 months, adding people who can take the second booster shot will include those with severe existing diseases and those with low immunity. Right before easing its COVID-19 prevention measures earlier this month, the Chinese government pushed to speed up vaccinations for those aged above 60 years. According to official data, people aged 60 and above who have received 2 doses inched up from 85.6% to August to 86.4% in November, while the booster rate rose from 67.8% to 68.2% over the same period.
I got my first booster shot on February 26th this year. I've come here to get my second booster shot.
We, especially senior citizens, must get vaccinated. It's for our own sake. My husband says inhalable vaccines are better, but I'm coughing a bit today, so I will ask doctors in a while. Maybe I will just get an injection.
And we have more news coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back. On Tuesday, Ghana signed a $3 billion bailout deal with the IMF, International Monetary Fund, in a bid to shore up public finances, but economic stability is still way off. With inflation at over 50%, fuel prices doubling and debt payments gobbling up more than half the government's revenues, the country is battling its worst economic crisis in decades. Like most African countries, it slowly emerged from the pandemic only to face the war in Ukraine and skyrocketing fuel and food costs. Due to the payment crunch, President Nana Akufo-Addo reversed course from this Ghana Beyond Aid, a concept this year, and entered talks with the IMF for a bailout.
I went to the market today, going to shop for the week, and then I withdrawn 300 cedis thinking I'll get everything I needed. But I couldn't get anything. I got something though, but I didn't get to how I wanted to shop. And I even got nothing for my baby because I had a very less money left for me to shop for my baby.
Folds or two dimensions. One is able to bring about macroeconomic stability, and with the macroeconomic stability, businesses are better able to plan. Individuals are able to live within their means because of the fundamentals will be very anchored and strong. The negative aspect have to do with the restrictions, government inability to employ more people, government inability to spend on social interventions that are very critical to the citizens.
Now we move on to other topics. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, over 140 people died in the capital Kinshasa due to past Tuesday's flash flooding and mudslides. At least 12 people are still reported missing, and there are dozens injured. Local authorities said that some 12 million people live in the 24 neighborhoods of Kinshasa that were hit by floods and landslides. Nearly 40,000 houses were flooded and close to 300 were flattened. Furthermore, at least one main road into the capital was cut off, and a large portion of the city is still submerged in water. Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi, who is currently in the United States attending the U.S.-Africa Summit, expressed his sorrow and called on local authorities to speed up recovery efforts. He also instructed government officials to provide assistance to grieving families. 3 days of mourning were announced starting this past Wednesday. And now we go to Qatar. Football fans and tourists gathered in central Doha on Thursday to relax during a 2-day break from World Cup games ahead from the finals of the biggest football event in the world. Moroccans have already come to terms with their defeat by France and are hoping to end their incredible run with a third place against Croatia on Saturday. The final will pit Messi's Argentina against Mbappe's France, two nations determined to take home the trophy. French supporters remain upbeat about the final outcome, while Argentina's fans want a trophy for Latin America. The final match will be on Sunday, marking the culmination of a dream that has been growing for the last 3 weeks of competition.
I cannot describe my feeling as we reached the semi-final game. We were just at the edge of reaching the final game. There were referees' mistakes, players were tired, and they were not complying with the game with France, but like for Morocco. It is a historic achievement for the Arab and African countries that an Arab team has reached this level.
Argentina is going to be the good team supporting all Latin American countries. For sure, he will be the winner for the World Cup.
And just as the hearts of millions of fans live the emotions of the Qatar 2022 World Cup, TeleSUR joins this sporting event with From the Field, a show that brings news, analysis, reviews, and more to our audience. Don't miss it. Our show airs 1 p.m. local time in Caracas and 12 p.m. New York. Just remember, From the Field, only on TeleSUR. And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.